are Robin and welcome to SG Global News. From the rare baptism of an Indonesian baby in the baptismal font of St. Peter's Basilica to the powerful proclamation of the kingship of Christ through a billboard campaign by a Catholic radio network in Nebraska, we have many stories to cover. An Indonesian baby boy has received a rare honor, baptism in the baptistry of St. Peter's Basilica at the Vatican. 18-month-old Damian Orlin Bascoro was baptized following a special request approved early in Pope Leo XIV's papacy. His parents hope the milestone will inspire others to believe in grace, faith, and life's possibilities. An Indonesian baby boy received the sacrament of baptism in St. Peter's Basilica, an opportunity rarely accorded to those outside the Vatican. 18-month-old Damian Orlin Bascoro, the only son of Daniel Oscar Bascoro and Erlinda Aji Ayuningram, was baptized into the Catholic Church on Thursday, May 26, in the baptistry of St. Peter's Basilica. Baptism at the Vatican is typically reserved for children of Vatican residents or employees. However, upon special request, children from outside the Vatican may also be baptized there, often in locations such as the Sistine Chapel, St. Peter's Basilica, or the parish of St. Anne. Bascoro had requested the honor of having his son baptized in the Vatican shortly after the election of Pope Leo XIV. In a post on LinkedIn, he wrote, quote, "We are truly grateful to have received an official invitation from the Vatican following the approval of our request during the early days of Pope Leo XIV's leadership," end quote. According to sgnews, the baptism was presided over by Father Benoit Alogia OSP, pastor of the parish community based at the Basilica. Father Cristiano Surinono OCD, a definitor of the Discalced Carmelites from the Commissariat of Indonesia, served as Damian's godfather. Reflecting on the occasion, Daniel Bascoro wrote, quote, "This moment is a meaningful milestone for our family, and we hope it can also inspire others to believe in grace, faith, and the beautiful possibilities life may bring," end quote. Each year, the Pope baptizes babies in the Sistine Chapel on the feast of the Baptism of the Lord, a tradition that marks the close of the Christmas season. This honor is typically reserved for children born in the previous year to families of Vatican employees and diplomats accredited to the Holy See. Catholic priest Father Andres Juniewicz Omi has been sentenced to 13 years in prison by the Belarusian government. He was arrested on May 28, 2024 for political reasons, initially facing charges of subversive activity which were later expanded to alleged criminal offences. Father Andrej is the second priest in Belarus to receive a lengthy prison sentence. In 2024, Reverend Hendrik Aklatovich, an elderly parish rector, was sentenced to 11 years in prison on charges of high treason after criticizing the government.
A Belarusian priest, Father Andrei Juchinievich Oyamai, has been sentenced to 13 years in prison by the Belarus government. Father Andrej, a member of the Congregation of the Missionary Oblates of Mary Immaculate, who also served as a chairman of the Conference of Major Superiors of Men's Order in Belarus, was serving at Our Lady of Fatima in Shumilino, Vitebsk Diocese. He was detained on May 28, 2024 for political reasons, with initial charges related to subversive actions which later included alleged criminal offences. Father Andrej was sentenced to 13 years of imprisonment on April 30, 2025. The sentence is not final and the lawyer has confirmed that an appeal will be submitted. The trial took place behind closed doors with no media or public access. Father Andrej has consistently denied all allegations. The parish community in Shumilino has voiced its support for their pastor, and the Polish religious order has requested prayers from Christians across the world for the release of the priest. This is the second priest to receive a heavy sentence in Belarus. In 2024, Father Hendrik Akatalovich, an elderly parish rector from Valazine, was handed 11 years in prison on charges of high treason for criticizing the government. According to the exiled human rights group Vyazana, Father Akatalovich was secretly ordained during the communist era and was widely respected for reviving the once suppressed Catholic Church in Belarus. He suffered heart attack and underwent surgery for gastric cancer during his 13 months of pre-trial detention. Catholic, Orthodox, and Protestant clergy have been jailed, silenced, and forced into exile for protesting the 2020 election that gave Alexander Grigorievich Lukashenko a sixth term. Father Marcin Warsaw, spokesman of the Missionary Oblates of Mary Immaculate, shared, quote, "He is the second priest to receive a heavy sentence recently, in what's clearly meant as a warning to other clergy not to engage in any public activity." He further added, "This case will have a chilling effect on religious life in Belarus, fueling an atmosphere to fear that Catholic priests and nuns can be arrested or lose their visas anytime via untruthful accusations." End quote. Catholics make up around a tenth of the 9.4 million inhabitants of Belarus. Both the imprisoned priests have been recognized by human rights groups among 1,186 political prisoners in Belarus.
Deacon Pat Bruin is preparing for a milestone moment in his faith journey as he is set to be ordained a priest for the Archdiocese of Detroit on June 7th. A widower who was married for 40 years, Bruin entered the seminary following the death of his beloved wife. His story is one of deep devotion, resilience, and a late life calling to serve the church in a new way. Deacon Pat Bruin will be ordained to the priesthood for the Archdiocese of Detroit on Saturday, June 7th. For Deacon Bruin, this vocation follows a decades-long marriage. The 67-year-old entered St. John the 23rd National Seminary after the death of his wife of 40 years. During his wife's illness, Bruin was especially moved by the ministry of the clergy. "When my wife became ill, the doctors and nurses were all helpful, but the priests and deacons who came to pray, anoint, and support us made a huge difference," he said. It was during this time that Bruin began noticing images of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, images he had seen and largely ignored throughout his life, now suddenly standing out to him. He took this as a sign to consider the priesthood and eventually entered the seminary. Father Bob McCabe, a friend of more than 50 years, encouraged Bruin to pursue this calling. With his support, Bruin applied to St. John the 23rd National Seminary, which offers graduate-level formation programs for priesthood candidates considered second career vocations. Deacon Bruin is the father of 3 children and grandfather to at least 14 grandchildren. His father, Deacon Patrick Bruin, who passed away on February 14th, was also a well-known figure in the church. Deacon Bruin will be ordained by Archbishop Edward J. Weisenberger at the Cathedral of the Most Blessed Sacrament. He will be ordained alongside 26-year-old Deacon Benjamin Schroeder during the ceremony, which begins at 10 a.m. The Serpent and the Seed is the poetic narrative adventure game designed to introduce the story of Jesus to players who may be unfamiliar with the Bible. Developed by a UK-based charity, Discipleship Tech, the game offers a fresh and innovative way for people to engage with the Bible. Through a rich blend of visual storytelling, interactive puzzles, the game guides players on an immersive journey through the overarching narrative of Scripture from Genesis to Revelation.
A UK-based charity, Discipleship Tech, has developed a new mobile game, The Serpent and the Seed, which offers a fresh approach to how people engage with Bible. The Serpent and Seed is a poetic narrative adventure game that introduces the story of Jesus to the players who are unfamiliar with the Bible. The project is a brainchild of Discipleship Tech CEO Andy Greers, who is best known for the award-winning PrayerMate app. Greers shared that for the last 18 years, he have had a passion to use the medium of mobile games to help people explore the Bible. He further added, quote, "With this mobile experience, we have the opportunity to create something profoundly meaningful that invites people to slow down and ask those deeper questions about life and about ourselves, and ultimately to discover the supreme source of hope that is contained within the Bible pages." Blended with visual storytelling, interactive puzzles, and a soundtrack by the US indie folk duo Poor Bishop Hooper, The Serpent and the Seed takes the players on a journey through the grand narrative of Bible from Genesis to Revelation. With a focus on spirituality, the mobile adventure game aims to redefine how gospel is perceived in the digital age. BAFTA-winning writer Amy Green has contributed to the narrative and shared that she was honored to have contributed to this beautiful story of faith. The mobile application is available for download on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store.
On May 28, the Ismailia court in Egypt ruled that the assets of a monastery be confiscated and placed under the control of the Egyptian state. The ruling effectively removes the monastery's autonomy, with the monks describing it as a de facto expulsion from their own home. In a statement issued on May 30th, the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate of Jerusalem expressed deep concern over the decision and reaffirmed its ecclesiastical authority over the monastery.
An Egyptian court has ruled that the state will now own the Orthodox monastery of Saint Catherine on Mount Sinai. The Islamia court ruled on May 28 that the monastery's assets were confiscated and placed under the management of the Egyptian state and restricted the monks' access to certain buildings. The ruling effectively strips the monastery of its autonomy, and the monks described it as a de facto expulsion from their own monastery. In a statement released on May 30th, the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate of Jerusalem said that it was deeply troubled by the ruling and asserted its ecclesiastical jurisdiction over the monastery. The Patriarchate also stated that the monastery was an enshrinement of peace between Christians and Muslims and called on Egyptian authorities to ensure the freedom of worship and access to it. The Patriarchate also said it will carefully review the court decision. According to Fides, an international campaign is underway to raise awareness and revoke the decision. The monastery on Mount Sinai was found in the 6th century AD by Emperor Justinian and is located at a place where Moses encountered the burning bush. The monastery, which is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is home to libraries, manuscripts and relics of Saint Catherine of Alexandria. It is managed by 20 monks belonging to the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate of Jerusalem.
A Catholic radio network has launched a billboard campaign to promote devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus during the month of June. The Spirit Catholic Radio Network, an affiliate of the EWTN Radio Network, will display billboards proclaiming Jesus as King in various high-traffic areas in and around Nebraska. The Spirit Catholic Radio Network in Nebraska unveiled a billboard campaign to mark the month devoted to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Dozens of billboards featuring an image of Jesus with open arms and the Sacred Heart across his chest, along with the words, "June is devoted to the Sacred Heart of Jesus" and "Jesus is King," will be displayed throughout June in high-traffic areas like Interstate 80 and the Omaha and Lincoln metro areas. In a press release, Jim Carroll, Executive Director of Spirit Catholic Radio, stated that the initiative originated from the listeners' desire to share Christ's love more publicly. He also said, quote, "We hope these billboards spark curiosity. Even if someone isn't familiar with the Sacred Heart, we want them to know this love is for you too," end quote. The statement also added that the Sacred Heart was a powerful visual reminder that God's mercy and unconditional love are real. The Spirit Catholic Radio Network is an affiliate of the EWTN Radio Network and broadcasts a variety of programming, including national programs with popular Catholic hosts on topics such as faith, family and relationships, current events, as well as prayer and devotions. The radio network reaches more than 2.1 million people across the state of Nebraska and portions of 7 other neighboring states. That's all for today. Until we meet again, God bless and thank you.